Uh, hey, everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you're on the lifeboat. I have been just chugging along for the last, 7 minutes, doing my intro. Isn't that something? I hit go live, and it apparently didn't go live. So here I am. Let's try this again. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you're on the lifeboat. How are you all today? Hopefully, you're having an excellent day. How's that? My beverage is see-through. So, if you saw today's thumbnail, got a bit of a negative overtone to it. If you're new to the lifeboat, if you have not been here as long as Miss V or Charlie or Steve, seventh son, and a bunch of other people, but those are the ones that always pop to mind instantly because they've really been here a long time. If you're new to the boat, then let me take you up to speed on some things that have happened in the past. I started this channel on July 31st of 2021. And I rolled out and I told the world who I was. And then I entered the job market because it's essential to be able to make a living, because YouTube, contrary to popular belief, doesn't make people rich. In fact, it doesn't even pay bills if that's what it was designed to do for 99.9% of the people that have a channel. Now, the boat was never intended to pay any bills in my life, right? So I had to go out and find a vocation, and it was a challenge because I'm a convicted felon, right? And I don't have one felony. I got a bunch of them. Heroin caused me to do things in my past that nobody in their right mind would do. Selling illegal guns and stolen guns and robbing banks and doing all kinds of other things that I'm sure my family would just assume I not talk about. But going and entering into the job market, there were only certain things that I was going to be able to do. And most of them were manual labor, which is kind of a friggin' shame because I'm fairly decent at talking, right? I have an ability to sit behind a desk and do things that my communication skills make me particularly gifted for. However, there's that question on every one of those job applications. In the last 7 years, have you been convicted of a felony? The funny thing is this: you can put down, no, I have not, because I spent the last 8 years in prison. So obviously I haven't been convicted. It doesn't work like that. They're going to find you out. And for me, I can get sent back to prison, right, as a probationer if I don't tell the person exactly what I've done. So you spend a lot of time sitting in job interviews saying, oh, well, there was this one thing, where I robbed a bunch of banks, and then there was this other thing. It's not particularly realistic. You're not going to get a job. So what you end up doing is manual labor stuff, stuff that for a guy my age is tough on the body. And for the people on the boat, they watched me do it. They watched me work night shifts. They watched me work day shifts, middle of the night shifts, and wear myself out in a pretty ugly way very, very quickly. So I decided that this is probably what I'm best at, right? I mean, talking to people about drugs, using my past for a positive instead of a negative is probably what I'm most suited to do. Sadly, that really wasn't an option either. So if you've been on the boat long enough, you remember that about 1.5 years ago, I decided I was going to get my master's degree. I already have a bachelor's. So I decided to get a master's degree, and I was going to go to the University of Florida. And I enrolled, and I paid the fees, and I did all of that, and I bought all the books, right? And I was ready to roll until the day I was supposed to start classes, at which point I got a little email that said, right, I was ready to roll. Lovely. And that little email said, you need to contact us. There's been a problem. The problem had to do with my past. They didn't want me on their campus. That's a quote, which is really odd because if you live in Nevada and you're attending the University of Florida, there's a really good chance you're not going to be on their campus anyway. But as a convicted felon, they didn't want me on their campus. And it caused me to change the things that I wanted to do. So I invested all of the money that I had and a bunch of money I didn't have. And I bought a ton of watches. And I started to try to sell watches online. And in the first 3 or 4 days, I sold so many watches, I thought, this is going to make me a living. Like, this is a legitimate way that I can actually get money. And then I got deplatformed. Can you guess why? Because I'm a bank robber. And that does not stop chasing me. That's going to be on my heels for the rest of my life. And I'm not hanging crepe. It's a fact. There's no getting away from it. Absolutely no getting away from it. So what happened is I had to go a different route. I got a business partner, and the business partner got platforms, and I answer questions about watches, and I am the knowledge and the sales guy and everything else. But what I am not is the business owner, because quite simply put, I can't be. So I had to circumnavigate the process in order to make that fly. And then I started to really kind of move forward with both the lifeboat and the watch business, and really kind of push both pretty hard. Recently, I've been pushing one a lot harder than the other, and it hasn't been watches. I've been doing things behind the scenes to try to put the lifeboat into a much better place. And guess what happened? Yeah. Once again, my past has caught up with me, and as much as everybody loves the ideas of everything that has been suggested, and they're just the best ideas in the world, yours truly gets in the way of the success, because society is never going to say your debt is actually paid. That's not going to happen. So this is where a lot of people find themselves stuck. Now, you all are in a decent position. The vast majority of you have never robbed a bank. The vast majority of you have never sold guns illegally, right? But all of us have a past that continually chases us down. And there comes a point where you have to make a decision on exactly what you're going to do about that. You can put your head down and you can run as hard and as fast as you can and slam your head against all of the forces that don't want to give you another shot. And sadly, you know, there's always the great example of the person that got out and was able to do X, Y, and Z. It's not the norm. It's the exception. And it is such an unbelievable exception that it is very much like winning the friggin' lottery. To be able to get away with stepping out of a prison and then going and doing anything, you would be blown away if I told you the number of things that have been where they said, can't do it, you're a felon. I'm talking about drug addiction. Right? How many people that I talk to are going to have run afoul of the law at some point or another? So what do you do? It's really what it comes down to. Because you know what it is, people? It's 5%. It's 5% of life. The 95% is what we do about it. So what do you do? What do you do if the world will not let you forget who you are or who you were? If they're just going to keep shitting on you for what you've done in the past, what do you do? How do you overcome this? The first thing that I would recommend is this. I talk all the time about setting goals, right? It's a dream. Oh, is it a dream? Until you write it down on a piece of paper. And then it becomes a goal. And how do we write down goals? We write down what we want, why we want it, what we're willing to do to get it, right? What do we want? Why do we want it? And what is it going to take? What do we have to do to get it? Let me make a suggestion. If you're 5'2" and you're 57 years old, do not put down that you would like to play power forward for the New York Knickerbockers, right? I don't think you're going to play for the Knicks if you're 57 years old and you're 5'2". That's an unrealistic goal, yeah? Start making your goals realistic. Know who you are. Know if the things from your past are going to make it impossible to do the things that you hope and dream to do. There is a peace in knowing the things that you can't do, because you won't keep getting doors slammed in your face. There's also a point at which you have to say, you know what, maybe I'm getting in the way of the success. I'll be really honest with you. The lifeboat is going to outgrow me because of my past. Because for the first time since I started this channel, I'm a hindrance to this boat, which is friggin' ironic, but it's the truth. If there was someone else sitting in this chair, the boat would be further along right now, because there was an opportunity that was absolutely massive to take this boat to a different level. But my past is the reason that isn't going to happen. So actively, and I mean actively, I'm working my ass off to find someone else to stick in this seat that isn't going to going to have that problem. And what I will do is become an employee of the lifeboat the way I became an employee of the watch business and anything else that I want to do, because that's the nature, sadly, of what I've done. So if what you have chasing you, you don't have to put down on a job interview, then with all due respect, quit bitching about it. If what's chasing you down from behind is some bad reputations or some things that people say and whisper, get over it. Because it's not the end of the world. It's not really going to damage you. That's the kind of 5% that you just got to push your chest out a little bit and say, you know what, screw them, I'm better than that. But if what's chasing you down from behind is going to short circuit your success by making sure that there are, 35, 45% of the things that you'd like to do in life you are prohibited from doing based on the fact that you're a convicted felon, then you probably need to stop thinking that you can play power forward for the Knicks. You understand? And there's going to be a piece in that. So you need to refocus your life and find out exactly what you are capable of doing, and then do that to the best of your ability and stop thinking that you can do more. At least if that more is going to be prohibited by the things you've done in your past. And coming to grips with that is a difficult thing. So what do? How do you come to grips with that? The same way you come to grips with every other thing that makes you want to get high. Go into your bag of tricks. Talk to people. Go for long walks, right? Take an active role. Sit down and say, what are my skills? What are the things I do best? What can I do instead of what I can't do? Because once you come to the realization that you can't be a power forward for the New York Knicks, maybe there's something you can do in basketball. Maybe you can have a hand in the sport. Maybe you can go and teach some kids how to play, volunteer someplace, right? Or become a professional, get a job as a coach, do something within the framework of what you find important, but stop trying to play forward for the Knicks. One of the other things is you're going to need a completely different level of self-reliance. And that's just realistic. Set clear goals and create a plan and define what you want to achieve and break it down into manageable steps. Have a clear direction and a well-structured plan, and it's going to help you stay focused and motivated. I'm of the firm belief these days that if you can write down your goals and your plans in 25 or 30 minutes, they're not going to happen. This is a process that should take a long time. It really should. Because when we're talking about doing something very much on your own, being reliant on yourself, this is something that you're going to have the plan down ad nauseum. In the movies, in the films, when that door slams in your face, you continue to go at it. You never quit. And it might take you 10 years or 15 years, and then somebody steps in and they've got this huge amount of money and they believe in you and they're going to make that happen. Once again, that happens. The question becomes, are you willing to write off the next 15 years of your life to do something that was your goal today? Will that still be the goal you want in 15 years? Maybe it's not playing basketball for the Knicks. Maybe your goal is more realistic than that. And maybe it's something that you have the opportunity to pull off if you beat yourself to death doing it. I want the lifeboat to get to the next level. And there are things that I'm probably going to be able to do to help that get to the next level. But if my damn name is on it, I'm going to be a hindrance in getting it to the next level. So there are going to have to be some changes made. And that's something that it's uncomfortable as hell. You know what I mean? I could put 75 different people sitting in this chair, and this thing is always going to feel like I gave birth to it. I'm sure Mark feels the same way. The really early days of the lifeboat, when Charlie and Steve and V might have been the only three people that were on a live feed, and we were doing 3 of them a day. You start to feel some kind of a connection to that at a visceral level, and it almost feels like this thing has been birthed, not thought up. And then, I start looking back. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. And then I start looking back, and this seat, this hat, all of this belongs as much to Q as it does to me. And I think, I wonder how he copes with it. He's heard 30 minutes of Lifeboat in his life. Been on twice where he's been able to have somebody hold the phone up so that he could hear what we were doing. But he keeps doing what he's doing every day, and he keeps plugging. And his hope requires a pardon from the president. And yet he gets up and continues to do exactly what he does every day, which is try to help people get sober and be the best person that he can be. Now, I'll be really honest with you. I'm not Q. That man is 6 times the man I am. He really is. I wish that you all could meet him. He's a better man than me. This has kicked my ass. I'm not going to lie to anybody here. This has just been really, it was a SWAT team domestic violence. Without the reference of whatever you guys were talking about, that just seems like such an odd thing to write down. But you know what? Domestic violence chase you the rest of your life, right? These are the kind of things that will chase you the rest of your life. I've never had a domestic violence. I've never put hands on a woman. But regardless of what it is, there are things that are always going to be chasing you down. And it's going to feel really odd if I have to take a different position. I'm sorry. It's going to feel really odd when I take a different position in the lifeboat, because there's going to be coming a time, and I hope it's really soon, where what I'm going to be doing is going to be all behind here. Oh, your street got shut down. Oh my goodness. Be careful. Stay inside. Stay away from the windows. Crazy things happen, man. Crazy things happen. And this is in the city I'm moving to. Lovely. Lovely. Just think about how many people Tommy and you and a lot on the boat have saved each other. This is beautiful. Thank you, Andy. That's a really nice thing to say. I appreciate that. And you know what? I'm happy with the number of people that the lifeboat has helped. I really am. It keeps me going every day. It's what gets me out of bed. But I think about the number of people we should be helping, and I think about the number of people we should be reaching. And some of that is because I could have been doing different things right here. So, Tommy, I have been sober for almost 35 years now and proud of it. Yankee Kyle, good for you, man. Did you hear that, people? 35 years. If that's not worthy of the participation trophy, I don't know what is, man. Wow, that's amazing. Good for you, Kyle. That is awesome, man. That really is. I'd prefer if you were Mets, Kyle, but that's all right. I'm still really proud of you. 35 years is almost incredible. I had a Mets shirt on earlier. I was going to do the show, and now I wish I had that. Lemmy says, I would be the guy outside filming the street getting shut down. Yes, I believe that you would be. That is definitely where Lemmy would be right now with the camera. That is his deal. So the day is coming soon where I'm going to be more of a behind the scenes kind of a person, because we could be pushing this boat into the limelight. And the reason that it is not going to be going into the limelight is because I am sitting in this chair. Pretty sad, and a lot of us here have kids. Imagine if your kid was up for an award, or if your kid was about to make, quarterback on the football team, right? Or head cheerleader, or whatever you think is really a cool thing for your kid. And the coach came up and said, oh, I'm sorry. Are you a bank robber? Yeah, we can't have your kid out here. Well, that's basically what's happening with the lifeboat right now because of me. And that's a difficult thing to deal with. I mean, in its easiest form, it's a really difficult thing to deal with. In its worst form, it's the kind of thing that actually, makes you think, well, I'm going to get through today for the first time in a really long time. Thinking today's the day I just got to get through because tomorrow's going to be better. For a really long time, I haven't had days like that. And that's a shot, when you have to sort of go back to the beginning and do the, just for today, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to get through this. That's a tough thing. But you guys go through it every day. A lot of you are early in recovery, and there are times you have to double back to that. That's just sort of the reality of what life is. Am I right? Trish Killian, good to see you. Are you driving, Trish? No driving and lifeboating. Number 2, develop self-reliance and resourcefulness. Embrace the mindset of self-reliance and seek ways to solve problems and overcome obstacles on your own. Cultivate resourcefulness by researching, learning new skills, and seeking out information and resources that can support your journey. When you come to the realization that if it's going to be, it's going to be up to me, you have to change the mindset. You very often you think, you know what, I got 3 or 4 of us that have got this thing going on, and we're all pulling our and doing our best, and if you're the weak link in that, and not because of what you are, but because of what you were, then there are times you need to step away from that. Figure out what you can do. None of us that have ever been, incarcerated are going to be a lawyer. None of us who have ever been incarcerated are going to be a doctor. I shouldn't say that. I think there are about 16 states that will allow you to be a lawyer. And the laws are very odd on it. The point being, I could do anything I want to study to be a doctor, right? I could go to school. I could do all of it. I could be the best in the entire world. I could learn everything. And when the time came to mail off that piece of paper to get a license that says I could practice medicine, don't you even think about that. Hey, squirrel. Sorry, peeps. That's a watch. Squirrel, come here. It's an evil kitty cat. Hobotographer, thank you so much. You know what? I missed what you said. Thank you to everybody. Don't leave before the miracle. He's right. That's probably the best piece of advice ever. Let me grab my cat before she destroys a very expensive watch. Hey, knock it off. What's the matter with you? Huh? She's on one today. Greg F. Did I just see Greg F? Oh. Tommy F. says my eyesight is getting better. Greg F., I pray for your eyesight every single day. People, can we get 2 ones for those of you who believe in God and are thanking him for the fact that he's getting better? And can we get another one for prayers, please? Greg F., man. Boy, oh boy. It makes everything else seem very unimportant all of a sudden. Good for you, brother. I'm so happy to hear that, man. I really am. I think about you so often. I really do. I think about you so often. There are mornings that, you get older and it's just one of those things. And there are mornings where things are very blurry and I have a difficult time. I can't read any text messages or things. It's just part of getting old. It's nothing else, but all of a sudden, no, you can't be a real estate agent either. I think of you every time. I think I'm sitting here and I'm complaining and, Greg's really going through it. So God bless you, man. I'm so happy to hear that. I can't begin to tell you. I really can't. That's so awesome, man. Greg, thank God. We're going to keep praying for you too, because it's going to keep getting better. I have faith. I really do. I have faith. So number 3, here's one I'm just so darn good at. Prioritize time management and organization. Efficiently manage your time by setting priorities and establishing a schedule. Create to-do lists. Use productivity tools and establish systems that help you stay organized and maximize your productivity. People, I was born with a memory like few people on this planet. Thank you, Greg. I'm glad you're here, man. And I'm glad you're doing better. I really am. My memory was different, to be sure. Very different. And my ability to memorize and my ability to keep things up there were probably my strongest skill. If I had a superpower of any kind, that was it. And those days are gone. So I have had to, when they talk, when you start to think about getting up in the morning and doing what you have to do, making lists out is huge. I have to use the tools. So right, when you're talking about, organizational tools and things like that, every morning, this thing goes off at the same time. It's a permanent alarm. And that alarm is telling me that I need to take my medication, because I will most assuredly forget to take my medication And there have been many, many, many days where here's the thing with me and Suboxone. I'm not going to start going into withdrawal symptoms and flopping around on the floor and looking like a guy that, needs a fix. My temperature is going to get off about 4 degrees, 5 degrees. I'll either be too hot or I'll be too cold, or I'll be unable to regulate it. It'll be hot and cold and hot and cold and hot and cold. So you're in there talking to people and taking your coat off and putting it back on and taking it off and putting it back on. And my ability to focus, if I were to go, 17, 18 hours, I would start getting some other symptoms. But I feel like a girl with a high school crush, says Miss V. Miss V, be careful. Please be careful. Crushes are frightening things. And sometimes, I don't know. I just say that because the last time I said anything even remotely like the sentence that you just wrote, it did not end well for me. The last 3 times I've said that. But please be careful. I care greatly for you. That's all I have to say. And I hope that you're happy. I'm still waiting to hear back from my lawyer about a 10-year-old felony being reduced to a misdemeanor. Well, you know what? My prayers are with you on that, my friend. I did a video when my older brother was here, and we were celebrating the fact that they have agreed to let me off my federal probation early. And then I got a call from my officer who said, but you still need to come in this month because the papers haven't been signed. So my freedom is sitting on a desk somewhere, and the man who has to sign it is almost 90. And if he doesn't sign it until next July, it's not going to much matter that they decided to let me off of probation early. I feel like it's almost the okie doke. And the longer you've been in that game, the longer you've been chased down by your past, the more you think, I'm moving in 24 days and he hasn't signed that paper. If he doesn't sign that paper, I don't move. I guess I'll be filming from a hotel room or whatever. And they've already made the decision, but that's the way life goes, right? But so getting organized and writing down things, this is huge. I've spent more time journaling in the last day than I have in the last 4 months. I probably filled 25 or 30 pages. Now, 16 or 18 of those pages are worthless. It's just me venting. Luke Skywalker, it is good news about my probation. It really is. However, he needs to sign that. Leisure, how are you feeling, bud? We had some more ones for Leisure. I know Leisure's been going through it. And Leisure, do me a favor and reach out to me, man. I need, just send me some contact. I need to get a hold of you, Leisure. There's some stuff that I need from you, brother. So please reach out to me. So yeah, the vast majority of what I wrote was just me being angry about life. And that's one of the tools that I use. When you vent to people, you look like a jerk. Sometimes you really do. When you, Chili Phil, good to see you. When you vent to your journal, that simply doesn't happen. Chili Phil, man, I watched you. I went over to Chili Phil's channel the other day. I was watching him, and he took out 5. I think they were chicken tenders. If they weren't, they certainly looked like chicken tenders. And he said, "I'm going to put just a drop of this wicked hot sauce." Right? I mean, like, you got to be a chili head hot sauce. Like, this stuff's got punch. And he says, "I'm just going to put a drop on all 5." And he proceeded to put a half a shot glass on all 5. When you put a drop of something, Chili Phil, it's a drop. I think what you did was more along the lines of a dollop or maybe a shot glass, chicken nuggets. Yeah. But I watched the moment, and this is unique, I think, to people that have ever gotten really, really burned by something hot. But if you've been there and done that, you can watch somebody and the moment, right? The exact moment where you see, I've made a mistake. Like, you can see it in the person's face. He handles it beautifully. He really does. There's no gnashing of teeth and wringing of hands. But I knew the moment where he went, "Oh boy, is that hot." He still managed to neck down 2 more of them. Got 3 of the 5 down. But I think if you would have put a little less on there, Chili Phil. But the end flatline, there you go. That's what but I enjoyed it, man. You make good content. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. And if you people haven't gone over and checked out Chili Phil, please do. I don't think you'll regret it. Miss Dragon, how very kind. Miss Dragon just gifted 5 memberships to the Lifeboat. Again, if you've never been over to see Miss Dragon, I'm hoping maybe someday she decides to do a whole 1 hour show. Maybe we'll let her put a hat on to do it because she's excellent. She really is excellent. Really, really good at what she does. Very, very kind. Thank you. He knew at that precise moment, says John Doe. Oh, good reference. He knew at that precise moment. That's funny. All right, people. Number 4 in our you got to do this on your own. Embrace a growth mindset and learn from failures. Adopt a growth mindset that sees challenges and setbacks as opportunities for learning and improvement, learning being key. Embrace a mindset of continuous learning and self-development and use failures as stepping stones towards future successes. Let me tell you something, people. If you tap out, that's not always failure. Sometimes it's the world's best decision. There are people who start businesses who realize 6 months in, this was a bad idea. I thought it was a great idea. I really did. I thought it was a great idea. It's a bad idea. And you're left with a couple of options. And one of those options is to continue to pump money into something that isn't a good idea and to continue to put time and effort and all of those things into a mistake. There's something to be said for realizing, right? What did Clint Eastwood say? A man's got to know his limitations. There's something to that. I swear it sounds like she's dancing with her furniture or playing chess with it. I don't know. Says Phases of the Moon, Miss V. My video frame where it's quiet is around noon here. All right. Ichthyander? I have never seen the name Ichthyander. Welcome to the lifeboat. Now, and thank you so much. I really appreciate the generosity. Ichthyander. Okay, would that be from the Ichthyosaurus by any chance? What are the odds of that? Is that an icky reference from the Ichthyosaurus? Some would say mythological, but they do exist. It's one of the oldest living things on our planet. It's called the Ichthyosaurus, and it's that way. If I get in my car and I drive for about 35 minutes, I can be in the land of the Ichthyosaurus. At one time, I had a fake one on my wall, one that you can buy. It was in a garage, and I had a police officer come out to my house because of my past. Didn't do anything wrong. He just decided he wanted to come and search the house, and since I was on probation, he had that right. And they were ready to haul me off to jail because I had a Ichthyosaurus on my wall. I'm like, dude, if you look on the back of it, there's a price tag. I bought it. It's plastic. It does look very real though. It's a very ugly fish, the Ichthyosaurus. But there's a company out here that makes an ale called Ichthyosaurus Ale, and you see bumper stickers all over this part of the country that it says it's not yucky, it's icky. So it was really kind of strange when I saw that. So I'd be curious to know if there is any reference there to the icky. I don't know. I always watched Clint Eastwood movies with my mom. We loved him. You could still love him, Virginia. He turned 93 yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. 93. Good long career for Clint Eastwood. Very, very long career. He's done well. No, I wish. Okay. Just welcome to the lifeboat. Never had a chance. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the generosity, and I'm glad that you're here. Welcome to the boat. When you are here, you are family. Miss V, be an investigator. Well, I'm all about being an investigator. Good piece of advice. Wow, I do love him. I love him too. I'm a big Clint Eastwood guy. I really am. He's an inspiration. I really love everything about him. Speaking of inspirations, number 5, seek inspiration and motivation. It doesn't matter if you're doing something alone. You're still going to need that. I see Ichthyander and I think of ancient Greece. There's some logic to that too. I can see why you would say that. No, I just think these person have issues. Well, we all have issues. We all have issues, Miss V. Seek inspiration and motivation. While you may be doing things on your own, it is important to find sources of inspiration and motivation. Surround yourself with positive influences. Seek out role models or mentors who have achieved similar goals and engage with communities or online platforms that share your interests and provide support. I'll tell you, this is one that's tough for me too. A long time ago, I worked. Have a good night, ZW. Thank you for all you do. Much love. I'm already sober. I come here for the crew and for Tommy. Thanks, Monk. I really appreciate that. And if you weren't here, I couldn't say Monk, 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 Monk. How's Squirrel? She has finally sat down in her throne, which is good because she's sitting very regally up right now. You'll see her here shortly. But so a million years ago, 3 incarnations of who I am ago, right? Prior to being a businessman and prior to being a thief and prior to being the captain of the lifeboat, when I was working as a public speaker, I worked with a company called ABS, American Business Seminars, and we went around the country talking and selling things, from the front of the room. I love the boat. Love this crew. You know what? Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. I really, really am. So we would go all around the country and we would speak. And the really sad thing is this. When I was there were about 12 speakers at American Business Seminars. If you turn on the internet today and you see anything trying to sell you one of those packages of you can make a ton of money and I'm a fairly famous speaker and here's why you ought to listen to me. Of the 12 people that I worked with, 5 of them you will see every single day, and they're in front of their Ferraris and, on their huge 25,000 square foot homes telling you how much money that you can make. These were guys that I worked with all the time. I used to go on the road with and speak. And it's really, I usually spoke about ID theft when I was a public speaker. That's not a bad, I used to do, I don't think I ever did that. And that's, oh, you know what? Yeah, I have actually slightly different version. I had a quick, it's what we used to call fourth hole because there would be a first, a second, and a third speaker, which is incredible because everybody's trying to tell somebody they could do this to make more money. So the first person that speaks gets most of the money because a bunch of people buy and they leave. So the second guy's got a smaller audience, and the third guy, well, he's kind of a scrub and he gets a really small audience. And sometimes you get somebody that buys all 3 because they're just strange. His next hearing is still on June 9th at 1:30 p.m. You know what? I'm putting, no, but V, don't you leave because I want to talk to you before you go. I have a question that I want answered. So in the 4th position, which technically didn't exist, but if they had a small 25-minute presentation or a 30-minute presentation, so when the stuff like LifeLock, when they first came out, that wasn't the name of it. It was from a company called Trinant. But when that kind of protection first came out, I would get up and do a quick 45-minute presentation on protecting your identity. So there were some statistics in there and stuff like that. I'm getting reminders about it, so he's not able to change his date. Well, he's put this off as long as he possibly can. I have a question for people here. I really do. Do you think that I'm so glad I discovered this boat 8 months ago? Best people anywhere. Thank you, Heather Joy. This boat is so glad that you discovered it. Heather has done so much for the lifeboat. Really. And you know what? Hey, Rip Curl Readiness. How you doing? I always enjoy coming here and seeing so many wonderful friends. Rip, it's always a pleasure to have you here. It really is. Heather, you know what? I don't want to sound like the sage old public speaker because I'm not, but I'm watching you get better and better and better. And I'm really, really enjoying watching your content. I really am. I very rarely catch it when it's live because if Heather's live, it's usually because I'm doing something. And if I'm live, it's Heather's probably doing something. But every once in a while, we can get together at the same time, which is good. But I don't miss them. I go back and watch all of them after the fact. And she's also, sort of spreading her wings into a lot of different areas and different topics. And she also, if I shared with you all of the behind the scenes stuff, Heather's got some just fantastic ideas of things that are really, I mean, above and beyond. She just comes up with ideas that I think, you know what? I've been doing this for how long, and I didn't think of that, you know? And also the fact that our pasts are different is going to let Heather do some things with the boat that I couldn't, which is great. My identity was stolen in '01, and a credit card found and theft ring was using my name for an electric bill at their meth lab. You know what? If that wasn't, so sad, it would be hysterically funny. That just sounds like something from a Saturday Night Live sketch. Cemetery 76. You're late. Probably didn't have a watch. I'm kidding. He has a bunch of them. So to both Cemetery and to Seventh Son, you should be getting a package the day after tomorrow. I had 3 packages mailed on the same day that not one got where they were going, but all of them should be there the day after tomorrow. And I would love to just bash on the United States Postal Service and why it's late, but it's a story I'll share with the two of you, but I don't want to do here. I'm afraid of the government. Phases of the moon. Why the angry face? Oh, you're talking about Cemetery. Well, he's got to carry all of that bacon. You know what I mean? He's got like 60 pounds of bacon and 2 pizzas in a backpack. He's probably tired of carrying it. Can have that kind of effect. Leisure sent Heather an email. If you sent Heather an email, then I probably don't. That's what I was going to reach out to you about. So thank you. I have a question, people. This is a very serious question because we're talking about your past catching up with you. We were talking about, and I am of the firm belief that people can change. I really am of the firm belief that people could change. He just got off work and he's been carrying around all that bacon and pizza. I was married to a postmaster. You can say whatever you want. Well, T. Prada, it's the other people listening I'm worried about. Sorry. So here's my question. Do you believe people can change? Before you answer that, there are certain crimes that we know for a fact can't be changed, right? I'm just saying that. There have been studies done that there are people who hurt kids in a certain way that I won't say out loud because it'll demonetize the channel, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. And there is a mountain of science that those people can't be rehabilitated and they can't be fixed. Fact. You can look it up. So my question is, do you think that there are other crimes that people are destined to continue to repeat? I think of these ex-significant other sitting in jail. And this is a guy who put hands on a woman, right? And by all accounts, probably not the first time he's done it. Do you think people who do that can stop doing that? Do you think it's something that Chili Phil says, definitely. My mom had a tramadol script disappear out of the mail. You know what, Mark? That does not surprise me. People steal prescriptions all the time. If it makes a shaking sound, and I've talked to people about this back in the day when I used to mail order stuff that way. I would say, please pack the top of it with cotton or anything else so that you can't hear it because they hear something shaking that sounds like pills and there's a really good chance it's going to disappear. Jason P says, I think people can change only if they change the people and things that hinder them. That is really a great comment, Jason. I think there's really something to that. Phases of the moon. Miss V says, no, Tommy. So you think if somebody is the kind of guy that beats on a woman, he's going to continue to do so. Am I reading that correctly, Miss V? My ex would be okay until he started drinking. That's often the case. You know what I mean? And that's a logical thing. It's not that alcohol makes people violent. What it does is it lowers people's inhibitions and their decision-making processes get clouded. So if they're really angry and where in normal times they might say something that they don't, that they regret saying later, they're less likely to, you know what I mean? That what usually keeps them from taking it to the next level gets drugged. If you want to change and you're willing to work, then yes. Yes, because my ex has done things in the past before me. That's why I said that. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure, V, I've never been in this situation. I've never hit a woman. And obviously I'm not a woman, so I'm curious. Wasn't a bad guy, so I decided to do something different than others. And I told him I had no ill will, and I hope he knows that it's never too late to turn his life around. And I forgave him. I'm at a place. I was forced to change. I didn't know I wanted a different life until I was forced to live differently. I get that, Ultramag. I get that. He almost killed his baby's mama, and then he did it again to you. So this is one of those recurring themes. V, shoot me shoot me a message over in Messenger, because this is a conversation that I'm very curious about, but I don't want to hijack the last 10 minutes of this boat. But shoot me an email or send me something, because I would love to touch base with you on that one. I really would. It's something that you know more about, and I'd be very interested to pick your brain. So, wrapping this up, people, it's a painful thing. When people don't want to let you change, it's painful. And it's super painful when you come to the realization and you look in the mirror, and the guy that's looking back at you, he's a completely different person than who looked back at you for 46 years. It's not the same person. It really isn't. And you end up, alcohol made my dad an abusive person. He was forced to stop drinking after getting diabetes and having a mini stroke, a transient ischemic attack. I've had them. They're no fun. A kick in the butt is still a step forward. That's right, Ultra Maggot. That's absolutely right. Oh, are you kidding, Alf? Did you see that? He said, thank you, everyone, for accepting a newbie. I love it so far. Let me tell you something, Alf. There are no newbies on the lifeboat. You step onto the deck and your family. That's the reason that the crew is as tight as they are. I knew what you meant there, Ultra Maggot. As Miss V just said, you see this? This, people, is for my man Bruce. I'm sorry, I already said it. This is for my man Bruce. 20 months is a very, very long time. It's a very long time. Closing in on 2 years. I am wildly proud of you, my brother. I really am. It's 20 months is a long time. And when I know exactly what you're saying. In let's see, I got about 26 days until I hit my sobriety anniversary. And I say the same thing all the time. I don't have any idea how I got this far. I really don't. Because it's so foreign to how we used to live. And it gets back to really exactly what I'm talking about. I look in the mirror probably the same way you do. And the person looking back at you is not the person that you knew who was sticking needles in their arms or robbing banks or selling guns. It's not the same person. It's a completely different human being. Every single part of that person is gone. But there are people who are never going to see that reflection. There are people who are going to see 44440, right? They're just going to see a register number. They're just going to see the fact that I'm a convict. And that's what it is. Thank you, Jason P. That's a kind thing to say. It really is. He says, and you and Johnny as well, Tommy, you guys are really an inspiration to me. You have both come a long way. Kudos and an awesome job, man. Thank you. If you guys have never been over, I would find it really hard to believe. But if you've never been over to Chase the Heat, my brother's channel, you really need to go over there and check it out. He does pretty amazing things with his ability to eat peppers, and more importantly, he's just a very, very kind individual that has he's made it all right for guys to say I love you to one another. You know, that's something that we have stolen and brought over here, and I think it's amazing for people to just be able to tell people how they feel about them without anybody looking at them strange. And I think that may be one of the best gifts that my brother ever gave the world. And you know what? I wish he sat in this seat. You know what I mean? There'd be nothing that could stop him. I just felt that my forgiveness and support and encouragement would do more than sitting in jail for years and having a large restitution hanging over him. And it showed compassion. He may turn his life. Rip, you're a cut above. And I mean that. That comment, you see that, people? put that up there so people can read it. You see that? When the boat started, I said I wanted to show that people in recovery were as good as anyone else. And I've come to believe since then that in many, many instances, the people in recovery are better than those who aren't. Not all of them, but many times, because there's a compassion. Once somebody gets sober, they never forget what it feels like to feel like a loser, to feel like you can't do anything right, to feel like you're never going to get a shot, you're never going to get a break. The world's just going to keep dumping on you. But people like Rip and comments like that, that's why people in recovery are absolutely the most beautiful people in the world. Rip, that's just amazing. No vindictiveness at all in that. A guy that does him wrong, and that's his reaction. I just felt that my forgiveness and support and encouragement would do more than sitting in jail for years and having a large restitution hanging over him. And if shown compassion, he may turn his life around. Holy hell. Rip, I love you, man. I really do. And I'll tell you something, the world could learn an awful lot from recovered people on the lifeboat. They really could, a lot. Sadly, there isn't enough of the world that's seeing it. We're going to see what we can do about that. I'm never going to be a power forward on the Knicks. Heather Joy, I love that comment. Oh, there's something about lemonade. When you're thirsty, there are very few things like lemonade that sort of just cut through the funk of thirst. You can quote me on that. Cut through the funk of thirst. One really cool thing was the judge was so different than most judges I have seen and showed true empathy and compassion to all the cases in front of her today that had drug issues and got them help. Rip, that is, thank God that there's at least one out there that gets it. Thank God. That's amazing. Admitting you have a problem is half the battle, says Chili Phil. Chili Phil, I got to disagree. Admitting you have a problem is the entire battle. It really is. Without that, there's nothing. I don't care how much willpower or how much you try to do this or do that. If you don't believe that there's a problem, then you're spinning your wheels. Tell you what, I'll give you 90%. 10% is what we do, but 90% is being self-aware enough to say, this stuff's killing me and I can't control it. You're absolutely right, brother. That's a cool, refreshing drink, says John Doe. Yes, it is. Tommy, I know this guy that's got a tractor. Oh, awesome. Greg F says, good night, crew. Thanks for all the prayers. I know they helped me. We're going to keep praying. Greg, we're not going to stop praying until you're at 20/20 vision again. The C plus math, if you're new to the boat, the C plus math damaged his vision to the point where he couldn't even read the comments here on the lifeboat. And Greg has been around just about as long as the lifeboat has. Been through ups and downs and sidewayses and just a good guy. And I'm glad he's here and I'm glad that he can read these comments. I think that's awesome. Love you, bud. Good night, Mark. Thank you for being here. And before I leave, a special thank you to Lady Spellbreaker for coming on last night and starting to open us up to a whole new part of recovery. You know, things that nuts and bolts stuff, things that you can do today to actually start helping yourself. You know, those are really important things, not things that are theoretical, but things that you can sink your teeth into. And today you can say, I'm going to start doing breathing exercises. I'm going to start doing yoga. I'm going to start doing these things to change my life. That's huge. Peace and love to all. Have a good night and a better tomorrow. Cat, squirrel. See, I was waiting. I wasn't even going to bust the cat out until I started seeing the squirrel comments. She's sleeping very comfortably. If we don't get the squirrel chants going, she might not make an appearance. Thanks, Heather Joy. Virginia, thanks. I am far from a saint or perfect, but you all make me a better person every day. I'm just thankful for every day I have to better myself and all who I see in a day. Rip, you are a cut above, bud. You really are. Chili Phil, keep doing what you're doing. Mr. Ray Ray, great to see you. And this is a guy that thinks he's going to eat Stroming and not make a face. Can't wait to watch him vomit. Cindy Pardee, good to see you. Charlie Mullins is there. He knows the drill. Squirrel, 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 squirrel. All right, Kat, you here? They're calling your name. This is the only reason they show up here, Kat. You ready? All right, people. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. And that right there is a cat in a basket. An evil kitty that likes to destroy things. You're a good girl. All right. Good night, everybody. Much love. And we'll see you all on the boat.